Okay, we're back with the part 2 of this fairly legal edit tutorial, and this is where we get the actual editing of it. Now, to hear the sound, make sure if you are plugged into that sound bar at the bottom of the screen, turn the knob on all the way clockwise, come up to System Preferences, go to Sound, and in your case, you would choose Line Out. For my recording this and making this thing, I'm using the Avid Minibox, but generally you would use Line Out. Then once you do that, inside the Premiere Pro, the software itself has preferences, and that's audio hardware. You also then choose the built-in line output. Built-in line output. Again, I'm using a Minibox, so that doesn't apply to you unless you are plugging into the phono jack of the Minibox. Okay, so here we go. So now I have this master shot.
Always is with them. This.
So I'm just marking in at the beginning. It's just a throwaway line he gives. But I'm going to take this all the way to... I'm just going to just take his sit down all the way to his next line. I'm going to mark it out. I know it's more than I need, but I don't want the whole thing because that'll be too much. And down in here, the default is that V1 goes to V1, A1 goes to A1, which is perfectly fine. Both things are blue, and all I need to do now is hit the period, and that will make my first edit. Now,
Always is with them.
okay, so
This is the evidence, the motions, and other detritus of justice that they have filed over the years.
okay, so at this point, I'm gonna make the decision that I have enough of this wide shot. I don't think it's the best angle. I'm gonna start cutting because this is television. So the simple thing I'm gonna use is that when her left hand touches the file, right about there, I'm gonna mark an in on the timeline. Then I'm gonna go to one for medium shots here. It doesn't matter which one. Let's just say I pick this one and go to beginning, and I'm gonna basically match that same point where her left hand, boom. I assume that's where her hand touches the file. It's not that critical. And the main reason I'm doing this is to get out of this flat wide shot, and I think she's a little much when she tries to pick it up in the file on the master here. The file is so heavy that she crumbles when she picks those files up. And I think that's a little bit just too much. So I will take this all the way till when he sits down. Mark it out. So I want to bring this picture in only. I don't need this additional audio that we get from the source, because that's just off-camera sound, and I'm just taking it for the picture of her doing this business, changing the angle. So I don't need the audio, and what I'm going to do is just deactivate the A1 on the source. I don't need that. I want the picture, and I do want to go across. I also don't want to, mess up this audio here. And so I'm going to make that edit by hitting the period. So boom, there it is. This A1 audio is from the master, and let me double click on that so I can see the waveforms. I'm going to spread this out by hitting the / key. So I just have a little more thing to look at. Okay. I think actually...
petty complaints that have made their way into my courtroom. Petty complaints that have made their way into my courtroom.
Into my courtroom. I'll wait till he says that. Finish saying courtroom. I'm marking in on the timeline. If I look at this, there's two close-ups. The first one, yeah,
Parking space dispute will not join them.
actually gets him sitting down, and that gives me a way to get around to getting to his medium shot here. So I'm going to take it.
There, right? There, right?
There's their courtroom.
Parking space dispute
Their
will not
park.
join them.
Okay, I'll get on this.
I'll get on this. That's her line. So I'm going to pretty much cut each person for their line. So I marked an in and out here, which is his line, including her next line, so I know where we're going with this. And over here, I've parked right after he says
In
courtroom,
my courtroom, their parking space.
because their parking space dispute will be picked up on this close-up. In this case, I do want his audio, because that'll keep him in sync. Turn that back on. And I'm going to just hit the period. And let's see what we have now from the previous edit. I usually go back at least one edit to see the rhythm, if you will.
Justice that they have filed over the years, chronicling a litany of petty complaints that have made their way into my courtroom. Their parking space dispute will not join them.
Okay, I'll get on this. Well,
Okay, so
That have made their way into my courtroom. Their parking space dispute.
the sound quality is a little bit different. The volume is a little bit lower, so I'm going to just hover my mouse right here on this line in between. Notice it has the up and down arrow button. I'm going to just raise that volume a little bit like that.
Complaints that have made their way into my courtroom. Their parking space dispute will not join them.
Okay, so that helps that a little bit.
Their way into my courtroom. Their parking
So now, let me finish this off, get her line in here.
dispute will not join them.
He's looking at her, and she says
I'll get on this. Well, I'll get on this.
she will get on this. Okay. This is the leftover from the master from the first edit, so I'm going back to him. I'll get right on this. I have 3 close-ups of her to choose from. Let's try this first one here.
Petty complaints that have made their way into my courtroom. Their parking space dispute will not join them.
Yes, sir. I will get on this.
Okay. So you can either have that little bit of a shadow, the shoulder, I should say, getting in the shot. Let me see what the next one is.
Playing a litany in my courtroom. Their parking space dispute will not join them.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. I will get right on this.
It's on the schedule for
Okay, there's that one, and then the last one to take a quick look at.
no,
Yes, sir. I will get on this.
it's on the schedule for tomorrow, 9 a.m.
Okay. For whatever reason, I think I'm going to go with this one. You can make your own decision which one you want to go on.
Parking space dispute will not join them.
Will not join them.
Yes, sir. I will get on this.
It's on the schedule.
Okay. Okay. I mark an in. Yes, sir.
I will get on this.
Go for the next line.
Tomorrow, 9 a.m.
On the schedule for tomorrow for 9 a.m. So again, I take her line on camera, and then I just put an out after I hear his next line. So I keep building upon this because I know what's coming up. Okay, yes, sir. I'll get right on this. There it is. Put a period here, and this is what we get. Go back again. One edit prior.
Their way into my courtroom. Their parking space dispute will not join them.
Yes, sir. I will get on this.
It's on the schedule for tomorrow, 9 a.m. 9 a.m.
Okay. All right.
I
I'm going to just to get rid of this just to make it a little less confusing. I mark the clip, and then I'm going to just delete it. Okay. All right, so this is what we have. We start with the master, go to this video only of her grabbing the files, stay with her on the files, and then we get him to sit down into this medium and then get her response to his first thing. So this is fairly simple. I cut pretty much with the lines and all that. But then now comes the fun part. It's where we make trims and adjustments. The first trim I'm going to do is that rather
Their
than,
way into my courtroom there. Parking space dispute.
I think this one, because I'm cutting right on the dialogue, right on the picture, right in the line, it's a little too obvious. So what I'm going to do here is I'll assume this audio edit right here is fine. I'm going to padlock my audio by hitting the little padlock. But I'm going to move, and then I'm going to disconnect the picture from the sound. This the linked selection button over here, right there. Normally it's blue. I click on it, goes white, means it's not linked anymore. Which now, if I were to grab using the let's see, the rolling edit tool, I can now grab this and drag it to the right a little bit. And what I just did was I shifted the edit point from right here all the way over here. Why? Because I want to, I see her still.
Into my courtroom there. Parking space dispute. I'm not.
It's the sit down's a little awkward for me, his head position, so I'm going to move it over here. She's fine, just still looking at the files.
Petty complaints that have made their way into my courtroom there. Parking space dispute. I'm not join them.
Okay, that's too much. Go back just a little bit.
Made their way into my courtroom there. Parking space dispute. I'm not join them.
Okay, so I'm kind of cutting on the movement here. That's fine.
Justice that they have filed over the years, chronicling a litany of petty complaints that have made their way into my courtroom there. Parking space dispute. I'm not join them.
Yes, sir. I will get on this.
Okay, so then let's assume that's, I'm just showing that it can be done. I go back just a little bit more. Let's see.
Room there. Parking space dispute. I'm not join them.
Okay, maybe somewhere in there. You can make your final decision. But the point is, offsetting this is not, I'm not changing any sync points because this part is still in, this part with this audio still in sync. This part is just her, so there's no sync. And so I can join in or out whenever I feel like it. The line has to be edited here, I think, because it makes sense for the copy. Now, come to this next edit. He looks at her, she looks at him.
Yes, sir. I will get on this.
Okay, so I'm going to change the mood of this just ever so slightly.
Parking space dispute. I'm not join them.
Yes, sir. I will get on this.
I'm going to open this up a little bit. And what I mean by that is that when he looks at her, I want as much of his look before we cut to her. So I'm going to push this down a little bit. And this is where I use my ripple edit tool, the two-headed arrow. And in this case, I do want picture and sound to move together. So I'm going to link the selection again, turn off my padlock, and click here and notice that the yellow line goes across here. Now if I double click on it, then I get this trim window up here. So I only want to extend his look here. I'm not so concerned about the timing of the sound right now. I just want how far I can go with this. So by going to the right side buttons, I will be adding more of him. And there's the, now his eyes are going down. So go back just a little bit. Right about there, okay? So I didn't add that much. I added, looks like I added 2 here. So 2 more frames. Hit the space bar.
Space dispute. I'm not join them.
Yes, sir. I will get on.
Space dispute.
By hitting the space bar, it will keep looping through this.
Space dispute. I'm not join them.
Yes, sir. I will get on.
Space.
Okay, so that works. I got as much of his stare as I could get away with. But now I'm going to go to her side. Click on this. By clicking on this side of the window, you see the blue lines here. She is now activated. He is not. And so now I'm going to add more before she says her line. Now I'm going this way to add more as she's looking down. And so he's staring at her. She's not aware that he's staring at her. And then she looks up, and let's see what that feels like.
Space dispute. I'm not join them. No. space dispute will not join them.
Okay, so to get out of this mode, because I want to play a little bit further than this, I'm going to just grab here in the timeline and just click anywhere before that and go back to my regular selection tool, the arrow cursor, which is the letter V. And when I click, there it is, when I click anywhere else, it gets me out of that trim mode. And so I have this now.
Their way into my courtroom. Their parking space dispute will not join them.
Yes, sir. I will get on this.
So,
What I'm trying to do here is establish that he already has this whole job for her in his head. He knows that he's going to be a hard guy about it. So he's giving her that look. She's not aware what's coming because he's going to hit her pretty hard right after this. So I want to show this kind of innocence on her part. She's doing her job. She's fairly unaware. But I'm setting this up by giving him that look that he's up to something. Okay? Now the problem with this, by extending this, listen.
their parking space dispute will not join them.
Yes, sir.
The them, which is this little piece of audio right in here, is the repeat of his line off camera. Join them.
Space dispute will not join them.
That's on camera. Them. Okay. Okay, so this little bit of audio here needs to be taken out. So again, that's okay. I'm going to create some space. And probably the easiest thing is to say, what can I cover that up with? Well, if you look what's right behind it, that is some silent area. So I'm going to take this. What I'm going to do is get some ambience, some quiet room sound where no one is speaking, and then put that over here, over his little them. So the first thing I'm going to do is mark an in and out on the timeline where that audio is. So I'm going to mark it out here, go right here, right before it, marking in this little space here. Now, if I go to this part right here, here's the sound on this clip. Okay, that might be a little bit too much, but let me see.
Join them.
See the thumb? Okay, so let me try this first. This is just temporary. So I want this frame again over here. To do that, hit the letter F, and it finds this frame on my sequence, matches it up, and puts it back into my viewer window here, source window. In which case, I'm going to mark an in there. And I'm going to just do an audio only edit. So I'm going to turn off the V1 on the source side. And I'm going to just hit the period. And it says ignore sequence out point. I'm going to ignore the source out point in this case. Hit OK. And this may not work.
Join them.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that little click is what gives it away. And do this. I don't want to move this picture, so I'll padlock that. And see if that does it.
Space dispute will not join them.
Yes, sir. I will get on this.
Okay. So in a way, I've cleaned up the audio a little bit. I've moved this edit around, put some dead room tone in here. I don't want to punch a complete hole because then it would be too.
Complaints that have made their way into my courtroom. Their parking space dispute will not join them.
Yes, sir. I will get on this.
It's on the schedule for them.
Okay. So that little bit of moving things around, cheating a little bit, creating a little extra gap time is somewhat important in the sense of narrative cutting, which is that you create moments that may not exactly have been there, but nonetheless can benefit by being there. And so that's what I was doing here.
I will get on this.
It's on the schedule for tomorrow, 9 a.m.
Okay. All right. So have fun with this, play around with it, and know that that just because where the picture edits are may not always line up where the sound edits are. which is fine. I think that is a more interesting thing than to have everyone just say their line, see their picture, cut, say their line, and then all that, and see the next person speak. It's sometimes interesting to cheat that a little bit, throw things a little, and create little moments where necessary, if it works. All right, try that.